Anyway, it is Commlink time. Now, we've only done a couple of Commlinks before, and I really enjoy it, and I hope you guys do too. It's basically an opportunity for us to have a conversation, you know, about certain topics. And today, that topic is, of course, Citizencon. It's all the rage. Everyone's talking about it because, of course, they are. That's how this works. Yeah, so we had Citizencon over the weekend. And it was really good. In my opinion, the best one we've had so far, honestly. But as I said in my video that I posted up on YouTube, I never watched or never went to any of the live ones. I've seen snippets here and there, but I haven't really gotten to experience those ones. So my opinion on Citizencons is a bit iffy. You know what I mean? Also, let me know if you guys can hear me all right, because I've got my microphone set up a little bit differently. Okay. So yeah, Citizencon. So let's start talking about some stuff. Now, so if you haven't watched my YouTube video, you should, because it's cool, and that'd be dope of you. The big thing, the big takeaway, was that this year, they showed us stuff. They actually showed us a lot of gameplay. Way more than I was expecting, at the very least. I originally thought, you know, we probably wouldn't see much of anything except for the ships. And I was blown away. Especially by Pyro. Pyro looked absolutely amazing. And I was glad to see that they were finally using a bunch of the assets, rock formation assets and stuff that they had shown a year ago. It was a while ago at least. And so they're finally using that. Great, awesome, big fan, you know. I loved seeing all of the concept art for the new UGFs, and then them actually showing you hey, we can get these in engine pretty quickly, so we can proof of concept. Doesn't mean they're necessarily close, but it means they're a lot further ahead than I had thought they might be. The ship talk I actually quite liked. I was on Astropub's podcast earlier today, and it seemed like a lot of people weren't super keen on it, but I thought the ship talk was great. The Spirit is an awesome series of vehicles. I'm very happy with that. The sort of design choices that they made on the STV, I really liked. And loved seeing the Corsair in engine. Yeah, big fans of those. Obviously, the big thing that a lot of people were complaining about with Citizencon, including myself, was the end. They did this really, really good job over the course of, 2 hours explaining a bunch of really cool things and showing us those cool things. And then something on my thing. And then we just had 2 hours of just talking with very, very small amounts of footage spruced in. So the pacing completely changed. And that was a big whiplash. It wouldn't have been as bad if it had been like that the entire time. But I also don't think it would have been as good of a Citizencon if it had been like that the entire time, so. Yeah. New Lawville was very cool. They also seem to be much further ahead on that than I had originally expected. I guess it feels like they've got so many things in the pipework that is actual content, it's actual things for us to experience. And some of it's been coming out. We've been seeing the rec sites, right? Those have been a big one, and they were really, really quickly turned out. We've got the 600i and MSR rec coming out soon. I don't know, it feels weird that they're actually doing gameplay. So, I guess there's that, Yeah, there was nothing in there that I really disliked about Citizencon, except for the talk with with Chris and the other guy that I remember the name of. His names are hard. But it is also, I want to point out, if it was your first time ever pledging into Star Citizen, because I was kind of thinking this earlier, if you had never seen them talk ever, that would actually be a really informative talk. It's just all of us are veterans as well. Richard Tyler, yeah. Rich Tyler, sorry. Because they talked about a lot of stuff that we just already know. Right? They were like, here's this and this, and this is how it's going to implement you later. It's like, we know how that was going to impact us in the future. Like, we mostly just want to see what your progress is on it and, like, how it actually plays out. Which they did show. It's just they didn't... They showed it really slowly. There were some really, really big topics in Citizencon, which was expected when we saw the topics. So, obviously, Master Modes. Master Modes is a huge one that, yeah, I think there is a massive mixed bag of reactions about it. My thing for it is, from what I've seen, most complaints have been about balancing ships rather than the actual system itself. And I do think this is the time to worry about balancing, because this could impact balancing a lot, obviously. But remember that they can balance. Also, as a quick side thing, Aimless, you were talking about how it was only the Gladius using the system. That's because the Gladius is the only ship that it works with currently. Like, they basically mentioned that in the video. So, most of your complaints are still valid, but that complaint isn't. So, haha. Yeah. Yay, Sandig, 1 minute of Commlink. My favorite. So yeah, overall it was really, really good. I love the set that they've made. The set is really, really cool. Though they didn't feel natural in it. I think they're so used to doing these old school pre-recorded segments for IOC and stuff that it's very, very weird for them. But I'm sure they'll get in the hang of it and they'll start using the set a bit more, because it was super, super cool. One thing I noticed, because there's a bunch of like little Easter eggs and stuff on the walls and wherever else. There's a Spelljammers book. Dungeons & Dragons Spelljammers. Which, like, I know Jared Huckabee's a mad D&D head, and I'm sure a bunch of other people from CRG are massive D&D heads. Are we getting a Spelljammer campaign? Perhaps? Possibly? Because that'd be sick. I would watch the crap out of a Star Citizen Spelljammer campaign. Just play Star Citizen, but Spelljammer. How you doing, Champasta? Well, Mikhail, it's working with the ships that are in Squadron 42. So that's why I'm not surprised that they only showed the Gladius, that's all. Yeah, let's have a look at some chat. Let me scroll up a bit. I just wanted them to stop talking so I could get the STV at that point. True. It was funny to see Rich get the look of death from Chris Roberts because he said more than he wanted him to. So someone else was mentioning that. What happened? I didn't notice that in my rewatches or anything. When did Chris Roberts give him a death stare? I must have missed it. They never really explained how it would lead to diversity beyond, well, it's great with the Gladius. Well, they do mention the fact that it slows down combat will also mean that you have to be closer to the enemies, which is why I do think that multi-crew ships are going to have a much better advantage with their turrets, because turrets are obviously, you know, a lot better at firing at things that are a little bit closer than like 5 kilometers away. But other than that, I don't know. It's going to be hard to see. Regardless of all the extra waffling at the end and reiterating, I'm glad they did it. I think a lot of the extra talking was because they were trying to get the videos ready. Possibly. Thank you for the follow, Angry PC Tech. I really just think it should have been a pre-recorded video. You know? I really think it should have just been a 20-minute video with very small explanations on what each feature was, and then showing it and how it's been implemented. Like, we don't need to know the extreme ins and outs of, what do you call it? Like EVA, right? Like, we understand how we're going to use EVA for the most part. You don't need to talk about that for 20 minutes. There's no way none of those demos were not pre-recorded. No, the demos were definitely pre-recorded, right? I'm saying like an edited, pre-recorded, like 20-minute video rather than a 2-hour-long conversation. Where it's like all improv. All ad-lib, whatever you want to call it. Astropop stream went well, Shampasta. It was good. Yeah, he finished it. He was alive. So that's the good sign, I guess, you know. It was a last-minute live edition they added because of all the Squadron 40 YouTube backslashes. I don't agree with that. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think they were always planning to show some stuff from Squadron 42. Especially this stuff, just because it is PU-related features. That doesn't spoil anything for Squadron, right? Yeah, I don't agree with that. They say that, but their example of turrets was a Gladius attempting to charge Vector in front of the Hammerhead's guns, literally the best way to get yourself killed. But also, the only way to fight now, Aimless. That's what I'm saying. You need to fight up close now. Well, with the new system. Or at least according to them, you need to fly up close. So we'll see what happens. Due to SC, only saw a couple of highlights, but I thought the updates to NPC AI and bunkers look cool. That's a thing, actually, yeah, that I did forget to mention. So they talk about that in the, I believe that's in the Squadron 42 section. They talk about how they've messed around with the AI. So obviously you guys all know, you played Star Citizen, AI can be absolutely terrible. Now a lot of that has to do with them actually trying to communicate with the servers, but they're bad at it. They're bad at communicating with the servers. And a lot of that because it's too complex and because of server meshing and blah, blah, blah. So them saying, yeah, we're just going to make it simpler. Like, sure, 100%. FPS AI are allowed to be easier. A lot of the, like, really cool things that come from FPS tends to come from PvP FPS anyway. So 100% make them simpler. They still have, you know, like, I'm going to rush you or I'm going to flank you or whatever, but yeah, that was really good. It was good to see them working. It was also really cool to see them clearing the areas when they spot you. That was kind of dope. Yeah, very cool. They put the two guys who talked the most into a room live. You could tell that it was two developers who were just excited to show what they were working on and what they were proud of. Yeah, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, Mikhail, except it's a bad viewing experience. That's all. I'm not blaming those people. Right? Like, yeah. They could have done the literal exact same thing, but just give them, you know, a couple of paragraphs to say in a video. That's all. Could have been done better. Which is why I gave it 2 out of 5, that section. I like the free flow style of the long talk though. It lends itself to more open talk about it, whereas a pre-recording would have been strictly the info presented, if that makes sense. No, once again, I understand that. But that's also what all the other presentations were. And they had a really good flow to them. Because it was just like one after the other with very, very small amounts of talk in between. And so we were getting lots of information at this really good pace. And then it all completely slowed down. It's a whiplash. That's why I said it wouldn't have been as bad if they had that style for like all the other presentations too. CIG staff were at the after party streams and it sounded like it was always planned. They just let CR off the lease and let him do his own thing. It was definitely planned. We knew exactly how long it was going to last. Like in in the after party chat, we knew exactly how long the stream was going to go for. So, but it's about like 10 minutes. 10 minutes was different. But I don't know if that's super related to it. I enjoyed it and gave a lot of good info. People with short attention spans didn't like a drug. It's not that it's a short attention span thing, Mikhail. It's that they're not telling us much for the majority of the conversation, and then there's little snippets where they're telling us a lot. That's what it is. Like, and none of it's bad information, but it can be more concise. And if it was more concise, it would have been more enjoyable to watch. That's all it is. That's all it is. It doesn't have to be a 2-hour-long conversation. If you've been around a while, it's literally what the old streams were like. They just sat in front of the camera and let rip. Yeah, and there's always benefits to that, 100%. Just not this Citizencon. Like, honestly, a live Citizencon would be better, right? That style of conversation would fit a lot more. But this wasn't a live Citizencon, so alas, no, basically. But that's that bit. It still was good. We still got to see a bunch of features that got pushed out of like PU into Squadron 42 first. A little disappointed we didn't see hacking, especially when they almost alluded to it during the FPS radar section when he did like a little ping and it was like, here's all your interactables. Hey, this thing's hackable. I was like, oh shit, they're gonna show hacking, and then they just never showed hacking. I was really sad, but whatever. They showed like some hacking stuff like a year and a half ago, but it's been so long now. It's what Richard Tyler, Chris Roberts is like. If you're a new backer that hasn't watched their stuff before, you wouldn't understand what it's like to watch them. Sure, but that's a bad thing. That doesn't mean it's a good presentation, Mikhail. That handheld sensor thing? What was the handheld sensor thing? I was really confused with the minimap. I need to rewatch that section again. Because, like, what is it actually... Okay, so they show us the ship, right? And they show us, like, the different levels of the ship and, like, the model of it. But how do we interact with that? Right? Yeah, but they kept saying minimap. It was really weird. I was really confused. TBD. So yeah, that was strange. Looked cool, but I was very confused. Poor phrasing on their part, probably. Even the stuff they showed was a few iterations behind what they're currently doing. They alluded to that several times. Yeah, for sure. And that's fine. I was just glad that they showed us anything of those features, because there's been so many features that got pushed to Squadron 42 first, like EVA, like hacking. Although we still didn't see hacking, but EVA, the new UI, all that sort of stuff that we just haven't had a chance to see, and I'm glad we have gotten a chance to see them now. Because it shows, firstly, they're still working on Squadron 42, and they're doing, like, an okay job, as well as, like, yeah. Like, just because your features aren't in Star Citizen doesn't mean we've forgotten about them. Like, they're still here. Pyro looked a lot more plants than I expected. Yeah, so some of the vegetation... Pyro was crazy. Pyro looked absolutely awesome. So... Having the different planets, I kind of wish we saw some more moons, but moons, I guess, are probably boring sometimes. But every planet is so unique. Like, I know right now in Star Citizen every planet's unique, but like, it was crazy. The different biomes, the colors, the design work they've done on these planets is unbelievably cool. It's really dope. Big fan of Pyro 4 with the crimson ground and the large, like, the super large rock formations. Very excited to try those out. And I also like the idea that they're doing more of these, like, you can see from space sections. on locations. So like we had the giant eye crater, which I'm sure would be called the Eye of something. On I think that was Pyro 4. And then Pyro 5C or whatever had the scar that ran across it. It was full of obsidian. Really, really dope. I love what they've done there. And then, yeah, way more vegetation than I had expected. So very cool. Maybe I misinterpreted it, but I thought the see-through walls in bases thing was something you could carry in with you for the larger bunkers bases. I don't know what you mean by that, Majestic. The vaulting stuff was genuinely kind of dope, just because it's going to be cooler to run around with more control over your character, right, in FPS. Yeah, it lets them add in some more puzzles. It adds in a lot for caves, right? You can make some really, really crazy cave, like, destinations. You can make the prison escape way harder. So, yeah, that'll be kind of cool. What do I think about the character skills? This is the other one that people are really, really 50-50 about. I think it's fine. I think it is 100% fine. They sort of mentioned that we're talking about, and this has also been clarified. I remember in whose Twitch stream, but it was in someone's Twitch stream. This has also been clarified by a CRG dev. The attributes are going to be things that are going to naturally increase over time as you perform tasks. So if you continue, the example they use, right, is if you continue to knock people down, or you do a takedown, those takedowns start to become ever so slightly faster. And they also mentioned that through Death of a Spaceman, those will also degrade, right? So you will lose some of those attributes over time. As long as they keep it to a 5 to 10% bonus on whatever those attributes are, that's 100% fine. I don't think it's going to be an issue at all. But, yeah, some people are really, really against it. A lot of people are like, oh, it's Elden Citizen. It's like, it's not. It's really not. It's a mechanic that's in so many games now. Bro, it was in GTA San Andreas. Like, it's a cool little mechanic to work towards stuff. Also to incentivize not dying. Right? It's another incentive to not die, which means, you know, you're not going to be as risky. Or if you are riskier, the reward's allowed to be higher. Yeah, I think it's totally fine. Yeah, it's not really something to get worked up about. Did they say they didn't want skills and attributes? Yes, they did say that. But they said that years ago, and this is an incredibly rudimentary, but still interesting way of doing it. So. They showed off a new scanning system that was looking through walls like an IR camera. Yeah, that was the scanning and ping system. Yeah, it's just FPS scanning. I'm excited for it. There's a lot of play you can get from it. I was hoping it was going to release last year when the new scanning system did, but rip us, it didn't. I assume there was just lots of issues, maybe, and then they were just like, no, we're gonna put it in Squadron first, but that's fine. It looks cool. From the sound of it, the upgrades are going to be small percentages, not you are 50% faster than everyone else. Exactly. They're going to be incredibly small changes, and yeah, when you die, you're going to lose them anyway. And like, if you stop doing the activity, you might lose them too, right? It's incredibly minor. The only time it's going to matter is like it'll never matter in PvE for the most part. And the only time it's going to matter in PvP is when you've got like 2 skilled pilots, as an example, and one of them has the bonus but the other one doesn't. But realistically, they're both going to have the bonus. You know? Skills sound very organic as opposed to something you'll have to focus on to get better at tasks in game. Yeah, it's something that'll just happen while you're doing stuff. Also just means that if you want to specialize in certain things, you will do certain things to improve skills. Play a choice of how you want to play and focus on things, which is their whole shtick, where they want to give you hard choices and play a certain way. This just gives you a reason to play the way you like and get rewarded for it. Yep, that's a great way to put it. 100%. Boot camp will commence in 4.0. Get ripped or get tipped. I didn't see the complete thing. Did they speak of fixing the ship HUDs and screens? They mentioned it, yeah. They want to put less information like on your HUD and more information on your screens, basically. Yeah. That's the main thing. Thoughts on the Spirit? Yeah, so we did a proper deep dive into the Spirit earlier on stream today. I love it. I love the idea of the Spirit. I'm gonna put my legs up. Yeah, I love the idea of the Spirit. I think it's really cool. I don't like the Cutlass. I don't like the Freelancer, but I'd love a ship in that weight class. And for me, it's the Spirit. It works perfectly. I think it's a really, really good job. Obviously, we need to see it in game, but I feel like it's pretty hard to mess up something Cutlass-sized. You know what I mean? Yeah, big fan. I like the variants of it just because, you know, the Cutlass also has variants, the Freelancer also has variants. So it does give you incentive to buy these for different reasons, or to fly these. And it'll definitely be, I think the A1 most likely, maybe the C1, might end up being a daily driver for me for a while. It's a good class of ship, the Cutlasses, the Freelancers, and now the Spirits, because they are multi-crew ships that are still like 90% effective solo. And there aren't really many of those. Except for maybe like the Vanguards, but they're heavy fighters. So it's good to have that, because it means you've got the potential for multi-crew, but it's still pretty effective otherwise. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. I think it'll matter maybe when your character gets a disease. The disease affects strength stat or your cardio stat. It literally might, but I think that's a good mechanic. You know? And that's a fun mechanic to have in the game that doesn't... It shouldn't ruin the game for people that don't want this game just to be an RPG. Which, by the way, if Star Citizen was a full-on hardcore RPG, I'd be all for that, by the way. I just want to put it out there. I know it's not that game, and I'm okay with it not being that game. But if they came out tomorrow and said, we're bringing in skill trees, we're bringing in specializations, we're bringing in bloody, I don't know, companions, I don't know, something else RPG related, I'd still probably be, I'd be for it. It'd be sick. You know, there's going to be an SC D&D, there better be. Do you expect the E1 to be for, like, NPC transport missions? Yeah, that's exactly what it's for. I wanted a Cuddy Black size ship that wasn't Drake, but the C1 ticked all the boxes. Yeah, that's how I feel. The E1 will be the daily driver. You need to hire a driver. Right, just get an AI splice. Did CIG remove Warbond CCUs? I don't believe so. Get my genetically modified jumping limes to avoid space scurvy. Yeah, so Von Cody, yeah, you come into another one. So, yeah, the ship vote. So, in the last 2 years, in the last two Citizencons, not the last 2 years, only 3 years, whatever. In the last two Citizencons, they, during the ship talk, were like, here is a couple of concepts of ships, and we want you to vote for which ones we want to release. And then they end up releasing all of them anyway. But they tend to had ended up either concepting or releasing them in the order that they were voted. So they did a different thing this year with the ship vote, the manufacturer vote for the mining vehicle. Now, first off, mining vehicle in between the Mole and the Orion, hell yeah. I am all about that life. I am a big, big fan of that. I had thought for like my high large scale mining, I was going to have to operate an Orion all the time. I guess I won't now. I won't have to operate an Orion all the time now. I'll have a different option that's like that's smaller than it, so I'm a big fan of that. I am not a big fan of the fact that everyone's voting RSI, but at least they're not voting MISC. I will take that compromise. The lesser of two evils, in my opinion. Yeah. We've already talked about the Spirit. So yeah, big fan of that, and hashtag vote Argo. But I also think this ship, it'll go to concept and we'll get it like as a concept next IAE, right? We'll get it as concept in a year. So it'll be a while, most likely, because it's going to be a large ship. Though what would you want it to have, chat? Let me know. You should be able to fight critters and catch them and then let them fight each other to make them stronger. God damn. Going Drake only ships in my hangar because Drake ships remind me of my life. Everything is barely hanging together. The sale was a bit different. The non-warbond insurance was a bit stingy. There was no warbond paint for non-concierge. There was less incentive for not just waiting for IE. The non-warbond insurance being lower has been a thing for a bit now. But they're not being... like, there being 3 concierge paints and no regular paint was super strange. That was very, very curious. There might be something going on there in the paint world. I don't know. What size is a Mole Orion? Then Mole is 2. Orion is the Orion lasers are currently statted to be size 4s. That could change, but so theoretically, this vehicle would have size 3 mining lasers. But there's also lots of balancing happening around mining in the next couple of months. So do keep that in mind because lasers will likely work in very, very different way. But at the very least, you can assume that this vehicle is going to be larger. And we can confirm that they mentioned that they want you to be able to have some ground vehicles in there as well. So this large mining ship will be able to fit some Grey Cat rocks. So. I voted RSI because I didn't want Miss to win. Look, I'll take it. Wouldn't your Orion be like a community ship? Basically, yeah. Yeah, Mole is medium, Orion is subcup capital. This is a like a medium to large. This is like it feels like it's gonna be like Carrick-ish sized. Yeah, Pico battles. Bruh, Pico battles, 100%. If Drake gets a mining ship when the rock starts to charge and the ship starts shaking, the animation needs to have parts falling off the ship. Yeah, so mining lasers do have sizes of Ignis. Right now we've just got size 1 and size 2. The only difference currently, because this might change in a couple of months with the balance changes, but the only difference currently between those sizes is that size 2s can shoot further. It's just a distance thing. I expect that's going to be one of the things that's going to change. Hand tools is -1. Hand tools is 0. Oh, actually, no. Grey Cat ROC laser is 0. Is size 0. Hand tools would be size -1. 2 moles welded together as well. I still think it should have been Drake. It's a mining ship that can dual purpose roll as a hammerhead. Look, lots of people really like, okay, I think Drake fans might be the only fans where it's everything is Drake or nothing. Because like, bruh, it's super weird to me. The amount of like absolute like cult-like behavior around Drake. You realize Crusader is supposed to be the cult, right? Crusader are like literally the cult. The Drake fans really act like cult. Thoughts on the cost savings on your wrist with the C1 tractor beam at Jumptown? Oh, it's not the only vehicle with a tractor beam. Pancakes, so there'll be plenty of vehicles that'll be saving us a little bit of in that respect. The Drake miner just smashes rocks together until they break. Aegis, Anvil, and RSI. Bit of a military mate, are ya? Yeah, we don't have ship tractor beams in the game yet, but there are lots of ships that are supposed to have tractor beams. Including the Cutlass, if I'm not mistaken. I believe the Cutlass is also supposed to have a tractor beam. Nah, Drake people just can't afford anything else. There are Origin stands who only buy Origin. Yeah, but I just don't acknowledge them. Yeah, true, Mikhail, true. But yeah, so that's the ship stuff. Speaking of the Corsair, yeah, we saw some of the Corsair more in engine coming out in 3.18. Very exciting. It's a cool little ship. Not my favorite ship in the world, but I'm excited to hop in it, especially because I really do like the co-pilot going down and under. It makes no sense from like a realism standpoint, and that's totally fine because it's Drake. Drake doesn't have to make sense because all of their ships are put together with hopes and dreams. It's very cool. Very, 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 very cool looking. There's also the Mule Crane. So it obviously didn't release, but we had a couple of images during the bunker part of Citizencon, where they were talking about where they were talking about stuff, and they were showing, yeah, the Mule Drake, the Drake Mule Crane. That's kind of cool. Mule variants coming, I guess. It also, if you look at the artwork for it, the back two wheels are much further back. So it could be like a Mule XL or something. I don't know. Yeah. Not... there was a leak, Mikhail, but we're not going to talk about the leaks. In Citizencon, there was not. No. People are going to die in that co-pilot seat and you're never going to get them out. True, how would you get them out? That's an interesting one. Classic Drake engineering. Kind of over variants, to be honest. I'd rather us have the ability to buy modules and change them in between the variants. Yeah, but some variants are like full hull changes. We just call them a variant because they're very close design-wise, right? But in some situations, 100%. It'd be great if we could do that. I really enjoy the new ships that have R coming in. That being said, it truly is time to buckle down and fix the older design ships before going forward. I don't think they should do that before going forward, Von Cody, because we're still waiting for a bunch of things to come into the game so that we can actually finish these ships, you know what I mean? Which is why, like, we've been getting the gold standard. They were doing a lot of the gold standard stuff up until about the first half of this year when they stopped for some reason. And that is that. That is bringing old ships up to current design, like, stuff. But yeah, I don't think they should do it to literally... Like, I don't think they should stop making ships and just do it to all ships right now, because there's still too many things that are not in-game yet. For legal reasons, we all pretend leaks don't exist, yeah. I do hope that the Genesis and Carrack and other modular ships too will actually be modular. They will be, but that's a completely different thing, right? That's modular in terms of like their cargo space and stuff, rather than modular in terms of like here is a Cutlass Black, here is a Cutlass Blue, right? Where like a lot of parts of that ship are different. Like the Spirit, they literally said the back end just swaps in and out effectively. Forward section stays the same. Yeah. Master Mode was kind of a thing years ago. Hopefully they've polished them and made them better for everyone. It feels a lot different just because the whole game is very different to what it was years ago. Including the flat model. Though I wasn't playing when that used to be a thing, to be fair. Yeah, the Genesis will surely have a cargo variant, right? No, not command and control. It'll surely have just like a no seats variant. Command and control too, though. Gold standard stalled on the Retaliator because the guys working on module stuff had to go develop the module stuff, yeah. The Genesis was supposed to be getting worked on this year, a couple months ago, but it got removed from the progress tracker because a lot of those teams got moved to Squadron 42. It was a big thing that happened at the earlier this year. Who's the guest for this week? Me. I'm the guest. Execute. Yeah, chump. Aegis fuel truck when I agree. Mostly talking about having modules for business, first class, economic, that stuff. Oh, that stuff will most likely be in it. I would assume. Maybe we'll see a fix towards the Alt F4 peoples when persistence gets better. So they mentioned, once again, I believe in the monthly report, they mentioned that they are going to try deploying a fix, or a temporary fix for combat loggers, which presumably will be a combat timer. But, I don't know what it'll be, but they said it was a rather simple fix. So, expect that soonish. Possibly even 3.18, but I don't know if it's ready for that yet. I'd need to read the monthly report again, I don't remember. But they're doing it. They're doing it. And the passenger transport gameplay is not even close yet, so they moved the Genesis back. The fact they just released the E1 concept makes me a bit more positive though. Well, so, both the Genesis Starliner and the Orion were supposed to get you getting some reconcepting work this year. That was it, basically. And then that got pushed. My belief is that the Orion got pushed because they were planning to do this mining thing, and they were originally going to do that for an RSI ship anyway. They were going to make it a large RSI mining ship. And then they decided to do this, so they pushed that. And then with the Starliner, a big reason that probably got pushed as well is because they had this other luxury transport thing that they were concepting for Crusader. Now, it also could have been pushed for 97 other different reasons, but that's what I think is a possibility. Big Ted, where is Jemima? Was my first Citizencon this year. It's a little relieving that they showed us more progress and proof. Was a little worried when I saw recaps of previous cons. Yeah, so last year was all tech talk, and they didn't really show us anything last year except for the Pyro 3 demo, which was very, like, small. Like, they showed some stuff, but they didn't really show much. It was like, here's a ship, here's a location with some shrubberies. And then everything else was tech talk last year, so it was nowhere near as informative for a player. This year was much more informative for a player, I think. Genesis has a few variants. Transit, private... Sorry, racing? Pardon me? Add a 20 to 30 second persistence on a disconnect like they do in RPGs. Yeah, that might be what they do. Like, as a fix for right now combat logging, that's probably just the best way to do it. I think they want to do something more complex, but it'd be nice for them to fix it now anyway. CIG needs to give us the ability to taxi around on ships that have wheels, true. Genesis Ghost Rider with a size 8 railgun hanging out the side. So I love buying ships. There are a lot that I like, but it feels like everybody is buying capital ships because everyone wants to be the captain of a big ship, and I'm afraid that when they eventually come out, there will not be enough people online to fill the ships. Thoughts? If they released the game live to... Like, if they had literally every ship available right now and released the game live to right now, and there was no new players coming in, right? So, like, current player base, all ships live and stuff, 100% you're right. There would not be enough people to crew every ship. Not even remotely. Luckily, as the game has continued going on, the average amount that a single person is spending on the game has been getting a little bit less. Because we are getting way, way more people that are just coming in, they're buying one ship, they're just buying their starter package, and cool, right? And when you get this game into a wider audience as well, which, like, they are getting into a little bit of a wider audience, but even further, you're going to see a lot more people who are only going to buy one ship. There's your crew. There's your crew right now. I don't think we're at a spot where buying capital ships right now is bad. Like, necessarily. But I do still encourage people to only buy their starter ship. There's also... capital ship redundancy is likely to be a good thing eventually too, but we'll see. Like, being in a part of a large organization and having access to like 10 javelins when you can only feasibly crew 5 is still like good. You know what I mean? Like that's still positive. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much in the future. If you really, really want to buy a capital ship, don't worry, Marsupial. The concierge will help you crew it. All right? We would be glad to steal your ship. I mean, operate your ship. Sorry, my bad. Do you feel we need a mid-sized refuel ship since it's so hard to find anyone with Starfarer? Oh yeah, I do actually. I'd like a small and a medium refueler ship of some kind. That'd be nice. All the capital ships are like 1 to 5% of the total player pool, plus a few people own multiple capitals, making the pool even smaller. Yeah. I pledge the Orion and I regret nothing. Exactly, Majestics. Some Star Citizen players say there is a light fighter meta where it's better to have people flying their own light fighters instead of flying this big multi-crew ships. Like, correct. Right now, yes. That, like, is the case. But they are trying so many... Like, CRG know that that's an issue, and they're trying to make it not an issue. That's part of the point of engineering. It's part of the point of arming up ships. Yeah, the CRG are well aware of that fact, and they don't want that to be the case. So it's okay. Yes, there'll be metas right now, and there'll be metas for a very long time. And particularly light fighters will probably continue to be really, really good until at very least when the new flight mode comes out. And even then, once again, they still might be really, really good. But yeah, they want multi-crew gameplay to be one of the main things that you ever do. So, yeah. There you go. Reading Execute's comments is like, okay, I haven't a good insult for my buddy. What? Well, Mikhail, I think it's alright with buying for the current game, just because you can like sell them, or you can not sell them, sorry. You can melt them, right? But that also means you have to be okay with what the game's going to become. Execute made a really good argument that people will want capital dispersed because you won't want to have to move them all the time. That way your crew travels to where the cap ship is located and needed. If you need one in another system, then you move to the other capital you have stashed there. Yeah, exactly. Redundancy. Redundancy will become important eventually, once locations are just too far away from each other. The concierge can ride on my privateer. You got a deal. You got a deal, Pancakes Hobo. I've mentioned this a lot of times. I have no intention of ever buying a BMM or a Kraken. But I very much intend on being on all of your Krakens and BMMs. So please make sure there's plenty of stock for me to buy, guys. That'd be great. Thank you. So yeah. No, I like the ships. They're just expensive. They're too expensive for me. SQ recommended me your stream. You're legit, my guy. I challenge you to a snowboarding contest in the verse. That won't go well. I will lose that immediately. But thank Execute for the recommendation. So guys, I have a BMM Kraken. Wait, what's this? Mikhail has gifted me a BMM. When I say that, by the way, I mean, like, I won't pledge for one. I very possibly will buy one in-game at some point, right? But never gonna pledge for one. The only capitals I would pledge for actually are the military capitals. Despite everything I've said about never buying capital ships. Sorry, never buying military ships. The military capitals are kinda sick. Ship just got too big for what I wanted. Yeah, it's a chunky boy. But yeah, so Citizencon is what we were talking about. Have we gone over everything? The bunkers. The bunkers are super cool. So, it was really cool to hear them say that, like, look, the original concept of bunkers, we didn't want this. We wanted them to be more complex. We didn't want them to be a copy-paste house over and over and over again. Which makes sense, especially because, like, obviously, they can put those in game incredibly easily. We've seen the tools that they've got for them, so big fan of that. And then they showed us what they sort of had as an idea of going into these bunkers, how you would actually interact with them. Having up to an hour of gameplay in some of these locations is really, really awesome. I know that, like, really they were just showing us the large stuff, but they are talking about small, medium, large bunkers, right? So kind of like a variation. Having them actually look really nice from the outside, actually having some gameplay elements above ground, which, like, wouldn't have been possible without the stuff that actually got into the game this year, right? So that's awesome. And yeah, I'm very, very excited for that. Very excited for the implications. I do hope, as we were sort of talking about during Citizencon, I do hope we ourselves, with our home bases or whatever, are able to, like, make these large bunkers. That'd be kind of cool, you know? We need to cover the investigation mission train of thought. Can we agree that they saying that they scrap something is not a bad thing? You know, of course that's not a bad thing. Often that's a good thing. Because sometimes they'll work on something for a super, super long time and they can't get it right, and it's better just to eat it away. Just trading some of the stuff I gifted you put towards a capital or to have credits ready for IE this year. Well, remember, I need to get the Pioneer this year. I'm going to do exactly that, Macau, and try to get the Pioneer. Which, it's going to be hard. Because apparently there's, like, no Pioneers on sale. Not literally none, but there's, like, a very, very little amount of Pioneers on sale. But that's the plan for this year's IE, is get a Pioneer. But yeah, like, bunkers right now are just so boring. So my prediction is that next year we'll probably have one, maybe not large-sized bunker, but medium-sized new bunker type in Pyro. I also expect they'll still release Pyro with the old bunkers and just replace as the new bunkers get finished. That's what I expect. What I also sort of expect is when we get our, maybe not third, but maybe fourth star system, that when we get that one, it'll be fully kitted with, like, the correct foliage, the correct bunker type sort of stuff that they want. Like, that'll be the first, like, this system's done. But I think we'll still be waiting a little bit till then. There are more javelins than there is pioneers. To put it into perspective, how hard it is to get them. Yeah. Yeah, because they're real... Well, like, they want to sell pioneers, but they want them to be special. Kind of hoping we would have seen more ship concepts at the ship show a bit. Kind of tired of max 3 ships getting shown off. Yeah. As well as we know there's so many ships in the pipeline as well that didn't get shown. But I also think a lot of stuff got cut for time. Like, Paul was saying, you know, oh, they could have shown some stuff about the Hull C. They could have shown something else. I don't remember what else he said. Something else that's been in production. Oh, the SRV, stuff like that. I honestly think that those two presentations probably would have been too boring to actually show, especially when we're going to see stuff on ISC, like, in a couple of weeks about the Hull C, you know what I mean? So, hey, Remosse, how you doing? The BMM is a strange one, though. They currently seem to be thinking that shops will only be operated by NPC crew. Therefore, the crew required for a BMM might be surprisingly small. It'll still be upwards of 10, I think. Wish they would have shown some server meshing stuff. Aren't they working on that this year? So they did a massive presentation last year, Cavion, about server meshing. The reason that they don't do another presentation about server meshing is because it would literally just be word for word the exact same thing. Server meshing is not tangible, you know? The way that server meshing is tangible is I have just played for 3 hours in Stanton and I've left a ship on the ground. I have now traveled to Pyro, played for 3 hours, and left a ship on the ground. I've come back to Stanton. Like, that's how it's tangible, you know? So other than actually just explaining the tech, there's not super much that they can tell us. And yeah, they did that last year. So, yeah, I'm okay with them not having showed that. Also, it's really hard to follow. So, like, the one thing about every presentation this year, basically, is that they were all dumbed down. It was really easy to follow all the presentations this year. You didn't need to know much of anything, you know? Last year, it was way worse. Last year, it was so techy. Yeah, the tech hasn't changed, exactly. Might only need 3 to 4 real people for the BMM, and only when you are moving it. If it's parked selling stuff, you might not really need any crew. Yeah, possibly. You might want guards. I think they've mentioned that a couple of times. I think people expect people to steal from BMMs, which, like, yeah, of course you expect people to steal from BMMs. At least an update on what's happening with server meshing. I mean, we're getting that. It's PES. The update with server meshing is PES. They're trying to get PES into Evocati. And once again, there's still not really much to show or say about it. So. Staff is to run the booths, yeah. Didn't they say the BMM was going to have internal security turrets or something? It has a couple, yeah. But I don't know, I don't think... Oh, they might be... One of them might be automated. I don't know. I'd have to check back. But I do know it has the turret in the bazaar. Like, right in the center, which is incredibly intimidating. 10 to 20 people that are players minimum from memory. Yeah, it's surely it'd be at least 10 most of the time if you wanted it to, you know, work. I think that's it. What have we talked about? We talked about the planets and how cool they looked. Oh, so planetary investigation. Oh, sorry, not planetary investigations. The investigation missions. Hey, Buffombat. The investigation missions. So we did a Commlink about how absolutely boring Star Citizen missions are. A couple of weeks ago, because they were trash. I can confirm Chris Roberts is in fact alive still. But yeah, the missions in game are boring. They are incredibly tedious, and they're just there to make money. They may be fun the first couple of times you do them. But the best missions, the best mission is the Caterpillar rescue the prisoner mission. But other than that, the investigation missions that we have already, PI Wanted and the Reclaimer one around R-Corp. Absolutely amazing missions. Love them. Big fan. Yeah. So good to hear that they agree. And they want more of those styles of missions. And it was just a design brief, and that's fine. They're usually pretty quick at getting these new missions in. But depending on how much like tech these missions require, that's obviously going to change stuff. But I'm optimistic. The thing that I'm not optimistic about is, are we gonna, I'm sure they'll be fun, but are we gonna complete them too fast? Is there going to be like a reason to replay them as well, right? That's the big thing. Otherwise, there just needs to be a lot of them. Like if they introduced 100 of them, cool, then I think that's fine. Yeah, so that'd be better. Yeah, narrative missions. Narrative missions are super fun. I love that in every game. My favorite experience in World of Warcraft of all time is leveling up through the quest leveling system. So, yeah. I love that shit. Problem is you are not working for anything but money at the moment, so there's no reward to work towards outside money or more money. Or reputation, but reputation just gives you more money. So when your reward never changes, it makes it get boring a lot faster because there's no exciting reward or any real tangible progress. Yeah, but it also goes into, as well, Mikhail, like, the bunkers are also themselves really boring, right? Like, it's not just that. I enjoy the gameplay enough to want to continue doing it. But the places also need to be cool. I have played World of Warcraft, yeah. I played every expansion until Shadowlands, and I haven't played since. I would usually play for like 3 months every year. Could be multiple conclusions for the playthroughs. Yeah, true. But like, if you're still doing all of the same tasks, that's going to be an issue. Sounds like some of them are going to be like choose your own adventure, so you could end up replaying them to find the other stories. Yeah, if they do have like this tree of like spread out and stuff, that'd be great. Yeah. When chips cost nothing, grinding resources doesn't have much meaning. Yeah, true. If they are modular and linked to Quanta, then variety should be achievable. You can make them branching. Yeah. I think they can definitely do stuff that would, like, solve those issues, but it would also take longer. Am I okay with that? Maybe. Would I prefer the much, much more in-depth version of investigation missions, but not have them for 4 more years? Or would I like them just to do PI wanted, like, 30 times? Like different clues and different interactables and stuff. And release them, like, end of next year. I don't know. The answer is both. Did you play Vanilla? OG AV was so good. If COG can get me a 7-day war, it'll be good. I didn't play Vanilla because I was, like, 10. I started during Burning Crusade. You also grind for rep, but that is mostly so you can make money and access content. I'm a little disappointed that they brought in the, I think it was the first or the second time that we had 9 tails, and then they brought it in for, like, the following Xeno threat. Where they were like, hey, if you get rep, you can get some armor. Right? You can get some limited armor. And then they didn't do that again? Like, they didn't do it for anything, right? Like, why can't we get that on, like, Microtech Security to get, you know, like, a special Microtech Security outfit or something for rep? I felt like that would have been a no-brainer to do, but... Didn't Eve have some exploration professional missions as well? It did, but they're nowhere near as, like, because Eve isn't as immersive as Star Citizen is, they're nowhere near as interesting. Oh, I haven't updated that, fleet. I also have a Vulture. I think it's better now. At least they can try it out, and it's a massive failure, then at least it's a learning experience. Yeah. Quincy got the Star Kitty Dragonfly? No, I got the yellow one. Not the Star Kitty. When wars get so intense in SC that hot bunking on the Idris to keep it staffed in a battle is an actual thing. 16-hour ships in the combat, let's go. I think that'll be a thing, but it's going to be only the very, very largest organizations and alliances, you know? Hey, thanks for helping us out. Here's a bat or something. Yeah. Alright, so now have we talked about everything from Citizencon now? We've talked about planets. We talked about bunkers. We talked about master modes. We talked about the thing we just talked about. Yeah, we talked about Quantum Boost. And we talked about how the E1 is really just a fancy dropship. We did before Commlink, yeah. Power resources, power management. God damn. There were so many things in this Citizencon. So engineering gameplay. Yeah, wow. Way more active than I thought it would be. A lot cooler than I thought it would be. For how complex it is, way more, like, done than I thought it would be, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's really, really exciting. It's very, very cool. It was also cool to see stuff working like, you know, here is a room with oxygen in it and 20 NPCs, players, whatever, and they are actually actively consuming the oxygen in that room. That was awesome. The temperature stuff, the fire stuff, all very, very, very cool. But yeah, it seems like a much more complex role for a player. Meaning for me, in a place like a Hammerhead, you might want like 2 people running engineering, you know what I mean? So it's very interesting. And very exciting. Yeah, it's also, it's a system that we're not going to see much of in Squadron 42. I assume. Because I'll probably just set dress that sort of stuff. But obviously, it's going to be a big, big part of multi-crew gameplay. As well as they mentioned, ships are going to get harder to kill. The time to kill is going to drastically slow down. So, this sort of role is going to be important. It's going to be good. Yeah. Get some hot foot action? Oh no. I'm going to be on wiki feet now. Someone 100% just put me on wiki feet. It's more done, but there is still no real UI or tools to see what you need to accomplish or do diagnostics. Sure, yeah. But yeah, it is still more done than I thought it would be. How you doing, Bacon Wrangler? Yeah, they said the same system will exist to solar ships, and that there would be a much more complex system than we currently have in Star Citizen. So, they said, yeah, it's coming to solar ships first. Probably because, like, multi-crew gameplay still isn't super relevant yet. Yeah, max crew is going to be much higher. I would be 110% if they slapped that shit in the game now with the UI as was. It was good enough for us to play with. Honestly, yeah. I kind of agree. The UI that they showed, like, the power grid, right? And, like, someone had to, you know, take this battery, whatever the fuck it was, take it over to a different location, plug it in, and that connected these two systems. Yeah, if you, like, could put that on, like, something, on any display, it'd be something. And that'd be kind of cool. But I don't think you would want to just introduce that. Engineering seems to be one of those mechanics where it's like, you kind of want to put it in the game, like, 90% complete. Otherwise, it's going to be super weird. You know what I mean? It's like putting in FPS shooting. Like, you don't put in, you can have a gun on you, and then later patch put in you can aim, and then later patch put in you can reload, right? Like, you don't want to do that. Because it'd be too disconnecting, so. But what they said, they were like, you know, here is all the things that we want to have implemented, like, first in engineering, and they all seem pretty sweet. So. All the large ships have engineering stations anyway, ready to go with multiple screens. Caterpillar has 7 to 9 screens with engineering station memory. Yeah. Being worked on for the Hammerhead, so it mightn't be far away as we think. I wouldn't be surprised if they do, like, the Hammerhead is the only vehicle with engineering for a little bit. It'd be an interesting way to test it. And before to be an engineer in SC requires a PhD in engineering and mathematics. We already talked about the Corsair. Corsair looks like it might be done. Yeah, it basically is. It's supposed to be ready for 3.18, like for IAE release, so. Yeah. 07 VR Planeswalker, how you doing? Alright. Let's do the check again. Planet's done. We've done engineering, we've done bunkers, we've done investigation missions, we've done the ship talk. We did Chris Roberts' thing. I haven't figured out his death stare thing. I don't know what the hell's going on there, but we talked about Chris Roberts. Not sure. I was kind of holding out hope they would be like, by the way, guys, all this new salvage stuff is coming in 3.18, but we only showed it at Sitcom because we are trolls. Can we buy the blue crystals on Pyro, possibly make drugs with it? I wouldn't be surprised if there is some sort of consumable related to it. Or mineable or whatever. Harvestable. You had rumors of a 3.19? Yeah, they've talked a couple of times about a 3.19. But we don't really know what's going to be in it. Which I'm fine with. On Astropop's stream, this came up and Griffin Gaming stated, if your engineer is Googling ship schematics, you know you're in trouble. Will PES be fully implemented in 3.18 or just like a part of it? PES... Like, PES is a part of server meshing and is part of the implementation of server meshing. Like, PES will be implemented. But that's... Like, it's a lot of things coming in to do one thing. You know what I mean? A server's down or something? I don't know. Are they? 318? Sneaky 318 relax. Working on lighting and CRG speak for it done, but we want to hold the real ease until a more profitable time. One thing that had me concerned was how far into the 4X patches, a series of patches before a lot of the stuff they showed off comes in. Yeah, so the whole thing was called Journey to 4.0, but it's not. The only thing that's actually Journey to 4.0 is, like, of all those presentations, was Pyro. I'm fairly sure just Pyro is the only thing that, yeah. So it was a bit misleading because a lot of those will probably be waiting a little bit to come in. Especially the engineering gameplay. The investigation missions are probably a while off. Yeah, none of it's coming pre 4.0, but like, it was a lot of talk about stuff that we still won't see for 2 years. But it's still good stuff. I'm happy they showed it. I do want to point out I'm happy they showed it. I would have just called it Journey to Pyro. Like, I would have just called the whole thing Journey to Pyro. Because Pyro is enough of a change by itself that, like, I think that's a good name. If we don't have 318 in Evo in a couple of weeks, then 317.4 for IAE is possible, and then a 319 is totally possible down the track at that point. So I don't think they'll do a 317.4. I think they'll just make 317.3 the IAE patch. Because you don't need a patch for IAE necessarily. You don't need a big. You would just call it 317.3 dot whatever. But maybe. We'll see. Road to 4.0 and beyond, yeah. Oh, really, Van Cody? That's kind of funny. The Journey, yeah. One of my big things for Citizencon is they should be showing off stuff we will have in our hands within the next year. We shouldn't be having Citizencon 2019 to 2022 has been nothing but showing off Pyro. Well, I mean, like, yeah, but that's, like, a big deal. Like, I get it, but... I mean, no, I also disagree. They shouldn't be only showing us stuff that they're doing within the next year. Because a lot of these tasks last longer than 52 weeks. They're showing us what they are doing right now. And I'm okay with them showing us stuff that we're not going to see soon. As long as they show us what they are doing physically, you know what I mean? Oh. Will they have something between the Spirit and the Starliner? Probably. Maybe. I don't know. Because the Spirit only has like 6 seats. Like 6 suites or whatever. Okay. I think, ladies and gentlemen, that we've done that. So yeah, in total, well, first off, before we finish it off, make sure that you go check out the YouTube channel, !YouTube, and you go look at my Citizencon summary, where I talked about a lot of the same sort of points that we talked about today, but did a couple of opinions on things and what I liked and what I didn't like and blah, 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 blah. Make sure you check that out. But yeah, I was really happy with Citizencon. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a lot of fun. I think they showed some cool things, and I am happy with how they presented it this year. The progress seems to be pretty solid, as long as obviously the delivery is solid. Because it's cool showing us this is what it used to like, this is what it used to look like, this is what it looks like now. But show us what it's actually going to be when we get in. So we've got to keep it there. And here comes 318. Hopefully. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Commlink. If you're on the YouTube, consider subscribing. If you want to help support the channel, consider subscribing to the Patreon. The description will be in the thingy. And yeah, next week we're going to be talking more Commlink. Now, I am doing a